welcome everybody. This is Julie Nelson, a rich witch, artisan perfumer, clinical aromatherapist, astrologer, and a woman who is very unapologetic in her truth. And I'm here with some gorgeous women today for our discussion on inner healing, which is a process of emotional, psychological, and spiritual self-empowerment that brings growth, a sense of wholeness and well-being. And we're going to be discussing this topic. But before we do that, I want to share that we belong to the Sacred U community, which is fabulous. And I'll be sharing a little bit about that at the end of the video. In the meantime, I'm going to introduce you, or actually I'm going to pick one of these gorgeous women one at a time to tell you what they do in one sentence. It's almost like you've got 1 minute, because we want to spend as much time as we can on the conversation. And have no fear, because everybody's contact details and their tribes and all that they do will be in the comments below. And I myself am a tribe host for Sacred U community, and I host the Bewitching tribe. So you will not miss out. I've got Alison on my screen first. So would you like to, you can share anything you like about yourself in 1 minute.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you. I'm really happy to be here. This is going to be lots of fun. I live in the Yukon Territory in northwestern Canada, and I'm a holistic wellness facilitator. And while I work with animals, helping to release trauma and some behavioral issues, predominantly I work with women to help them ditch their anxiety and overwhelm, chronic stress, so that they're calm and confident and they can move forward with their life and regain a motivation and a zest and a passion for life.
Beautiful.
So that's what I do. Thank you.
Perfect. In a nutshell. And I too love to work with animals. I'm a bit of an animal activist, and I work with women too. So I really resonate with what you do. Deb, you're next up on my screen. Welcome.
Thank you. And did you say 1 minute or one sentence?
I'll give you 1 minute.
Oh, wow.
Or one sentence, whatever you feel.
Okay, well, I am coming from you today from Sydney, Australia. I am the coach for coaches and subject matter experts, co-founder of the Wisdom Playground and Coach Training Campus, and part of an incredible team of inspiring people on the planet leading the mental wellness revolution. So really calling in those who align with that to come and work with us. And I'm so excited to be here with all of you guys, because I know each one of you has so much wisdom. So it's going to be awesome, an awesome conversation.
Love it. Thank you. And I cannot wait to meet you in person soon. It'll be fabulous.
It will.
Thank you. It will. Jennifer, you're next on my screen.
Great. Hello, everyone. I am Jennifer Regular, known as the Soul Illuminator. I am a resident of the West Coast of Canada and British Columbia, but coming to today from Toronto, Canada. And I evoke your passion so that you can live your purpose. And the way I see passion, when you break up that word, it's pass I on. That I being your soul's expression of what you're here to pass on in this lifetime. And so I do that as a speaker, author, podcaster, and lots of other ways to connect with me. But I am so excited to be here to connect with you tonight. Thank you.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you. And I've had the pleasure of being on panel with you before, Jennifer, and I loved what you had to share. I wished I could meet you all in person. It would be so divine. So divine. And Joe, of course, I've known for quite a few years. Bring it on, Joe. What you got for us?
What do we got? Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Jo Owen, and I am the host of the Empowering You to live your best life tribe in the Sacred You community. I'm an energetic and emotional empowerment coach. So I also work with women and helping them to live their best life. And those that are actually also what Alison does, working with anxiety and overwhelm and chronic stress and healing all the wounded parts of ourselves that will bring the best out in living our best life. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's beautiful. And as I said, everybody's information is going to be placed in the comments, and I will give everybody an opportunity to share one place where you can connect in with them at the end of this session as well. So let's get stuck into it, because I feel that we would all have a lot to share on this. And the first question is, what are the wounds that may be deep within us and how we can recognize them? I could say so much on this, but I'm going to hand it over to, hi, Jalia, welcome. Deb, do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay. So yes, like you said, there's so many ways to take this question, but I guess first for me is one of the things is we typically forget who we truly are. And we are creating our life. We're the ones choosing what we focus on. We're the ones labeling things, making meaning of things, deciding if it's right, wrong, good, bad, and judging it and creating the suffering that we tend to create for ourselves. It's all us. And so I think that a really key thing is to recognize that and actually get more and more present to how we're feeling, what we're focusing on, and that kind of thing. Because for me personally, I lived a lot of my life not present, really being distracted, avoiding just all the things to not be present, and very much in my head, thinking and doing rather than really in my body, in my heart, and feeling and being connected to my feelings. I was actually petrified to feel anything that I thought was a negative feeling. And it's been a lot of work to learn how to do that. And it's still an ongoing practice. So the question around our wounds deep within us and how do we recognize them, I feel to recognize them is to actually start to get present and notice. I could say more, but I know everyone has stuff to say. So
yeah, of course. And it's great. We could all say a lot, but keeping it really succinct actually helps people to really soak it up and get it. And perhaps be able to reflect within themselves and go, I get that. And then they can start doing the work. Joe, how about you, beautiful? Unmute.
I'm really sorry. Can I skip? I don't know what, someone's trying to ring me through my computer. Can I just come back in a sec?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alison, I'm just going around my...
Sure. This was a really interesting question when I read it. One of the things that came to my mind was patterns and generational patterns. So again, self-awareness, right? We have to start to be able to look at ourselves. But if we find ourselves repeating patterns that, you know, our mother had or our grandmother, or the opposite, doing something completely the opposite. So as an example, personally, my mother has been married 7 or 8 times, and she was married 5 times by the time I was 15. So I've never been married. I'm 60. And I've kind of done the complete opposite. And of course, had a rather difficult time holding on to and forming relationships, right? So I've had to do a lot of work, self-work, to shift what I carried and how I reacted and how I grew up in order to shift that and Julie, as you say, break that cycle. So that's also one way. That's what came to me for this question.
Love it, love it. And I love that you're sharing, both you and Deb, personal experiences, because that way people can relate so much more easily. And I hear what you're saying, Alison. I'm just going to jump in here for a second, was where my parents were married for a very long time, but I chose, when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and Joe's heard me say this, I said to my mum, I'm not going to get married, mummy, but I'm going to have babies, because marriage has never meant much to me, because I grew up and I loved my father, but he was incredibly abusive with my mum. So yeah, different stories, but with similar outcomes and breaking cycles and recognized patterns, because every relationship that I had, I was in abuse. And so I decided 12 years ago that I was going to stay single and honor myself, because relationships just don't work for me. And I'm 65 and I love being on my own and being me. And that is just perhaps how my lifetime is meant to be on this lifetime. Thank you for sharing that. Jennifer.
For the deepest wounds, that's a really good question, because we go through life thinking about our purpose, right? And what we're here for and who we're meant to become and what we're meant to do. But rarely do we actually look at the wound. And so I really appreciate this question to drop in and think what that is. And for me, what came up was guilt over having to live life again. That we didn't get it right before in our past lives, and had to get all this karma that we had to play out now again, into a new life. And that really sets us up for feeling like we're not enough. And then we have to get everything right. And there's this huge drive for perfectionism,
Yes.
not so much like high standards that are projected on everyone else necessarily, but on ourselves, because we want to get it all right this time around, and so we go into this huge cycle. I know it's true for me, of perfectionism and procrastination and overcompensating, for being a burden or having to do this all over again. And I find that's a repetitive cycle too, of all these fresh starts over and over again, these renewals, the revivals, the fresh start, and just a huge cycle of that over and over again, of having a fresh start, even within this one lifetime. So I think that's the wound, the guilt and the not enoughness, in feeling like we have to do this all over again, and that we failed at something in some way, and just that drive to get it all right again. That really sets us up. Yeah.
A Facebook friend of mine from a community started a group called Perfect Imperfection, or Imperfect Perfection, or something like that. I can't remember now. And I always loved that. And I just launched my podcast, and I've made sure I've said to everybody, it's perfectly imperfect, because it's just like, wow. Anyway, I love that. And I think for women, especially in my personal experience of working with women, I have worked with a few men, but I'm on a mission to help women stand in their truth and be unapologetic. And guilt is such a big thing. And I'll talk more about that when I have a little word on this. So thank you, Jennifer. Joe.
Yeah, apologies for that. My daughter was trying to ring me through Facebook. Oh my goodness, all of you. I just honor everything that you've said, and I totally agree. And just wanted to also honor you, Julia, and your motto of unapologetically being you. If anyone hasn't seen Julie's photo on Facebook this morning, it is totally a picture of being unapologetically her. And I love that about you. So so the wounds, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's a really big part of my work. It has become a big part of my work in the last 18 months, because of things that I saw in myself and we're talking, you know, personal experiences, and the patterns that continually show up in our lives are indicators of, you know, what we need to heal, what we need to look at. And, you know, these patterns in relationships, as you spoke about, that we modeled as young people, and seeing our parents and how they showed up in their relationships, that carried through in my 2 relationships. And one was, you know, was quite abusive, and the second one was not. But however, it didn't last any longer than like a few years. And what I brought to the table was that were my old wounding patterns of wanting to be loved, because I never felt that, you know, even though I know consciously I was, but I never felt that as a child. And watching all the abuse in that relationship and carrying that through. So, you know, I guess when you talk about the psychological parts of that, it shows up in the way we show up in our behaviors and our reactions. So being aware of how you show up in the world are really key indicators of that part, those parts of you that need healing, that need to be seen. And I buried that for so long. I didn't want to say, I knew they were there. I knew you know, and all the trauma and the abuse was there, but I didn't want to even deal with it until much later in life. And I think if we can just, you know, bring back the awareness and how we're living out our lives, if we're being authentic, you know, if we're being our true selves, and, you know, they are really huge parts of having the opportunity to go in and really heal. And a lot of them are in the shadows, you know, we don't see them. And I think that's what I was covering up until I saw them. Yeah, so.
I love that. And all these things are coming to me. And I think we could spend probably at least 3 hours in conversation on this topic, because it's really huge and there's so many pathways. But I'm just going to pull up a few points that have been come up through this. So I do believe that it's important to stay in the present moment and work with ourselves as we are right now. However, I also want to bring in, whether you call it the witch wounds, which I do, because, you know, the wounds of women, because mostly women were affected by this from forever ago, and it still happens where we live in a very patriarchal society, and they are still trying to suppress women. And I personally feel that Australia is still very controlled by patriarchy, and so a lot of healing still needs to occur, and breaking down of those old systems, of course, which I just wished I could do with my wand, but I can't. And so I think it's important to recognize that there is so much on a cellular level that is within us from centuries ago that brings us to where we are. It plays a role in what turns up for us. And I also feel to say, and I know that you'll all agree, and perhaps I should have put this in the question, is that the emotional, the psychological, the spiritual, I'm going to say the physical and the energetic is the whole. And so it's about working on the whole for our well-being, and that inner healing is a lifetime of process, because things always pop in. And so perhaps in astrology, I say, and this is where thinking is, that those wounds that you are feeling are a pathway to growing and rising unapologetically in your truth, to be that empowered woman or man, to be in your power and to love yourself unconditionally. And loving yourself unconditionally doesn't mean to say, I'll give you an example for me. I'm not happy with my weight. I don't like it. I've put on so much weight the last 2 years, and it's been through trauma and depression and sadness, but I fucking love myself unapologetically. So I wanted to say that because I think people sometimes get caught up in what self-love is. And for me, as you've all said, acknowledging, accepting those wounds, and then reflecting so that we can go, how can I break through this? How can I take my next step forward? So, yeah, that's what I'm going to say on that aspect. And thank you for triggering that to come up in the forefront, because it wasn't what I was actually going to say, but that's what I love about these conversations. Okay, question number 2. What is one technique or practice or ritual or tool that we can do each day to honor and respect ourselves as we step into our inner healing journey? And I am going to say to rise unapologetically. Alison.
Sure. Okay. We could spend hours on all the different tools and techniques and what we can do for ourselves, sort of as a reminder. One of the things that I like to do is self-compassion, self-kindness. And what works for me are affirmational statements. And some people like affirmations, some people don't. But I've got a couple of examples that help me. So if we say, for example, if I say, I nourish my mind and my body and my soul every day, there's usually a little voice in the back of my head that says, no, you don't. No, you don't. So instead, I kind of shift that particular statement to every day it becomes easier for me to nourish my mind, my body, my soul. Or I'm learning to accept myself for who I am, rather than something like I accept myself for who I am. Because again, that voice tends to be in there that says, yeah, you might think you do, but you don't really. So working with statements like that, sort of as a goal, they're positively worded statements, they help me. It's just a quick little reminder. I can use them when I'm driving, when I'm in a meeting, when I'm doing anything, when I start to notice myself kind of getting a little down on myself. So that's one tool that I use.
And I love it. I'm an affirmation girl. I've been using them for 30 years and they turned my life around. And you mentioned like the limbic brain, when it's about being able to catch that unhelpful or negative talk. And I talk back to my limbic brain and I just tell it that I've got it. It's okay. And I flip the negative into a positive. I love affirmations. They are one of my go-to, and I combine perfume with it to anchor it into the brain. Thank you, Alison. I'm on your side. Joanne?
Hello. Yes. Interesting. I just did a whole live on this morning, embracing all of you and the path to self-love. And there's so many, as Alison said, there's so many ways. But for me personally, like our mind is the most powerful tool we have. And you just alluded to it then, because if you catch it and reframe it in that moment, it's very powerful. But for me, it's about setting up my day in a powerful way. So having the intention to start with in the first 17 seconds of opening my eyes, you know, and being grateful for just being alive today. But one of the things I do, and I've done for, I mean, I have a whole morning routine, I could go through it, but one of the things that I've been doing for 30 odd years, 38 years, is I nourish myself with I lather myself with a beautiful morning facial. Like I cleanse my face, and I make sure that I'm there really in the moment, you know, telling myself that I'm worth this, because I had so much ill worth of myself. But that to me is something it's simple, but it's acknowledging who I and looking in the mirror and seeing yourself and not the flaws and not all the, you know, the wrinkles that we gather over the years. Yeah. And doing my face yoga and looking really funny. But yeah, doing something that is going to make you feel good and setting up that intention of having, you know, how you want to feel that day. And yeah, so there's so many rituals, but that's one of my go-tos that acknowledges me.
I love it. I talk about it in my Rich Witch community. We call it beauty magic, because, you know, and whether it's putting on makeup or doing your beauty rituals in the morning, it's really respecting and honoring yourself by doing this. And yeah, again, something I practice, because everything I do involves aromatherapy in ritual. So and of course you triggered something for me, and that was reframing, you know, because I said, you know, flip it. And even when I'm having conversations and I find that I come out with a negative statement about myself, I will stop and go, hang on a minute, I'm going to reframe that. And so I'll reframe it right there and then, because sometimes we slip, you know, it's hard to be perfect all of the time. So we can be perfectly imperfect. So I love that, Jo. That's beautiful. Really beautiful ritual. So thank you. Deb.
Yes, loving this. And it's a beautiful thing to share tools and how aligned we all are. The one I'll choose for today is giving ourselves permission to do something that brings us joy, something that we love every day. For me, dancing brings me joy, and moving my body, and that is just, for me, something that, but also going to the ocean and different things. And if we can't do the thing that we love, or even though hopefully there's more than one thing, to actually find love and appreciation in the little things that are happening, that is possible. There's always blessings to look for, and just giving ourselves permission that it is okay and a good thing to choose to feel joy. Even if we are having a tough time, even if others that we love are having a tough time, even if the world is having a tough time, that we still get to choose to how we look at it. And we might as well, life is short, we might as well choose the thing that feels good and that we love and that brings us joy. So that's mine for today.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I'm a dancer, so I totally get it. And also, you know, there is so much going on in the world right now, and there's a lot of pain, and it is important to acknowledge it. And it's what's not healthy is when we get ourselves stuck in it, and I'm guilty of that, you know, because we want to make a difference, and sometimes it's hard, so we have to come back to the self and make the difference within and create that ripple effect. So that's a really good point, Deb. Thank you. Jennifer.
Yes, well, really just reinforcing what everyone said, you know, loving in ourselves, honoring ourselves, putting ourselves first, and setting that up right from the get-go when we open our eyes, right? And it's a whole new day, and we can really be intentional around that. And especially when it comes to centering and connecting with ourselves and how we're doing that day in that moment, and how we want to be living the day, which essentially can be how we're living our life, you know. And so there's so much, like everyone said, and how we can set that up in such a good way. And what I can add to that is I like lived experiences. So really doing what it is that you love to do, like Deb was saying about joy, you know, and finding what that is. And one way to tap into that, which I wrote about on a blog on for SacredU.Love is about the 5 love languages and how they pertain to self-love. So knowing what your love languages are, right? We know how we can relate with others, but you can also bring that as a way of relating, connecting with yourself, loving on yourself. So for example, mine are quality time and physical touch. So spending time in solitude, paramount for me. Like that's essential for my health and well-being and my mental health and spiritual wellness. To be able to spend time in solitude or doing the things that I love to do, doing something creative, being out in nature and connecting with that. And then the physical touch can be aspects like giving yourself a self massage or being in water or just, kind of stroking yourself or even your hair, like the way you wash your hair, yeah, exactly, and yeah, just being in touch with who you are, how you like to experience love, feel the love, give yourself that love. So I think that is one way that you can do that, is really tap into what it is you love and love yourself that way.
And I love that. I love that, Jennifer. And learning what your own love language is very enlightening and empowering. And I'm just going to refer to something Joe mentioned. I put a photo up of myself when I turned 60. I'm 60. I've just turned 65. My daughter's a photographer, and I said to her, I want you for my birthday present to do a photo shoot of me, because when I turned 60, it was like a switch turned on for me. It was so fucking powerful. And it was like, oh my God, is this what life is like? Is this what being a woman is, and being in that mega, full on in that mega energy. And so I called that my sacred, my sensual 60s. Because it's just been such a powerful decade for me. And even with all the challenges, it's still powerful because I can move through them with ease. For me, I have many rituals that I do. I actually live in ritual. It's part of my lifestyle. And I actually realized about a year or so ago that they were so natural for me that I actually wasn't, I feel like I became a bit complacent. So I pulled myself back and wrote down all the things that I do every day to remind myself of how I honor myself and all that is. And at the core of it all is my perfumery. I love the power of scent. It has such a powerful impact on our psychological, our emotional, our physical, our inner healing, because it has a direct link to the brain. And that's why I love working with perfume and affirmations, because, apply a perfume, natural one, of course, or essential oils, inhale it, speak your intention, inhale your perfume again, and it locks it into the limbic. And so that the next time you inhale that scent, your intention comes to the forefront of your brain, and it activates your reticular activating system, which sets you into action to creating and achieving your intention. And I incorporate the perfume, the essentials, with pretty much most rituals I do. So that's my go-to, which, yeah, but as we've all got lots, and it's beautiful. Just before I go on, Jalaya, I'm not ignoring you. I thought we'd get through our questions first, and then if you would like to share or speak, just put your hand up, because you're very, very welcome to have a say, or you might feel very comfortable sitting and listening. But know that you are a part of our connection here. You're with us physically, which is beautiful. So thank you for being here. Okay, question number 3. And I love that everybody shared something different. And so you've got a few takeaways here for our audience and each other. what are the benefits that we will receive when we continue to heal and unfurl our divine essence of being as woman or men? Jennifer.
One of the benefits is really having a true sense of belonging, because there's such a deep connection that you start to create when you connect with your spirit, your soul, and what brings you joy and how you feel loved and being a true part of this earth, you know? And so that's one of the benefits, is that really that true sense of belonging and deep connection.
Beautiful. I think it's really important to have a beautiful, deep, loving connection with ourselves. If I may, I have this formula that I love to do, because when we acknowledge and accept our shadow, our light, our imperfections and our perfections, it helps us with the inner healing, and that inner healing brings us to self-love, and that self-love brings us to self-worth and building our confidence, and that then creates magnetism, which then creates manifestation. And we, you know, for me personally, and I'm sure I have no doubt, not that I'm speaking for you, but I want to continue to learn and grow, and I might not like the challenges that come up and knock me down every now and then, but one thing I've learned is that I will always get back up, and I will move forward, or I'll step into my next evolution, and that is very healing and empowering. So thank you for sharing that. Jo.
Yes, of course. I love that. You know, it's just always continuing on that journey and getting back up every time we fall, and just reinforcing that we are worth it, and we are, you know, are able, are strong enough to be able to pick ourselves up. And it doesn't matter how long you fall and how long fall. It's just knowing that you will, everything is temporary, right? When I went through that deep depression many years ago, I just felt like I was never coming out, but I did, and I came out stronger. I came out better. So the benefits that we receive is, yes, that sense of belonging, that sense of being worthy to be here, even through the storms. And there's so many benefits. It's like unapologetically being you, right? Just showing up and not worrying about what other people think, you know, and standing in your power and having your presence and having that ability to speak your truth. You know, all of these things are so beneficial to living an empowered life. And yeah, stepping into that. And when I say stepping into that, sometimes we, you know, talking about the mind and how powerful it is, we can actually step into it before we actually step into it. We can see it in ourselves, in our mind's eye, every single day. How do I want to show up? How do I want to be? What does that look like? What does that feel like? How does that smell? You know, I pulled out my essence as you were speaking there, you know, and each of us reminding each other every day that, you know, that we are more powerful than what we even believe or think. So seeing it first, stepping into that, what does that look like? How are you living? How are you holding yourself? What are you saying to people? How are people reacting to you? All of these things, you know, embrace that part that you want to be, and just continually step into that to become, I don't know if they've answered anything, but it just came through to share that. So yeah, that essence of being, yeah?
Yes.
Unapologetically.
I love it. And I'm glad you shared that, because again, it's triggered some things. So it's about retraining ourselves, so we don't have to wait to be there, because it's like tomorrow never comes. We have to take the action and step into it and work with that beautiful limbic brain of ours that was once our brain of survival. It was known as our smell brain. because our sense of smell is actually our most powerful sense, but it's often the most ignored. And so it's retraining the brain to create new neural pathways and strengthen them. And I'm going to share a mantra with you that I love, and I use it all the time. And it is, I love, I am love, I am loved. And it's just one of my favorite. And sometimes, you know, you hear the limbic going, I don't fucking think so. And then I'll turn around and go, oh yes, it's true, you know, and carry on these conversations and have a bit of fun with it, because it's about raising your vibration and your energy. And as Joe said, like, I mean, I've suffered in and out of depression all of my life, and I'm grateful that I have the tools. I'm aware of it. And sometimes you can't get out of it. So it's about falling into it and allowing it to be. And you will know when the time has come that you've had enough, because sometimes if we try to force ourselves, we just fall back down. And so part of the healing, the inner healing, is allowing. It's also about not staying there when we don't need to. So recognizing that, which, you know, can be a little bit tricky. So having any one of these women as your mentor or coach is going to, that includes myself, by the way, is going to help you to recognize these things. Sometimes we can't do it on our own, and I tell you, we do not have to do it on our own. There's so many people out there available that you can align with. And I wanted to just share, you know, I'm not here to offend anybody with my swearing, but I just love to swear. But we've had someone in the Harmony Fest, and she's a friend of mine, Anne Alexson, and some of you may know her, and she's just launched a book, Mind Your Own Vibration and Be Unfuckwithable. And I've read it, and it's fabulous. It's a book that I just think I love it. We've had conversations about it on my podcast that will be launched soon, and we can talk for hours. So I do highly recommend that. And one of the things I say is, I don't give a fuck, but I do give a fuck. And it's about not caring what other people think of me, not caring about doesn't. And I do care. I have great compassion and passion. So it's there's times when things just don't matter and I won't put my energy into it, such as I really don't care what people think of me. And that's not ego. That's not, it's just that I've come to that point in my life where I can say, I don't have to be loving myself. And more that everybody doesn't have to love me for me to love myself. I have to love myself. And then whatever comes from that is important. So that's what I'm referring to with as my mother used to say to me, my mother never swore and never drank. And she used to me, geez, Julie, you've got a, you know, she said, you've got a mouth like a trooper. And and it was like, you know, we all used to joke. She was a beautiful soul. Alison.
Hi. Well, like everyone has said, you know, standing in your personal power, being more self-aware, having more self-love and compassion for ourselves allows us to be far more compassionate to other people. Being grounded and centered in who we are gives us that personal power. And if we're grounded, if we're solid in knowing who we are and what we bring and what we've gone through, we can do anything. Like, imagine a world where every woman was like that and had that personal power. I think the world would be a completely different place. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And that was beautiful. Absolutely. Absolutely. That compassion and that kindness. And it starts with ourselves. And I do believe, and sorry, fellas, but we need more powerful women in Parliament that are not going to be used as puppets. Did I say that? Yes, I did. Deb?
Well, oh my gosh, I so want to speak to everything that's been said, but the answer to the question of what's the benefits essentially is we can have more fun and a higher quality life experience, right?
Yes.
Like I created so much suffering being a real horrible person to myself for many years, very mean to myself. And once I learned to let that go and not create so much suffering, and love myself genuinely and choose happiness, I have a much more enjoyable life experience, and that's available for everyone because we're all creating it, we're all choosing what we choose. And I think the beautiful thing is we have every moment the chance to check in with where we're sitting with that, because if we're not feeling great, it means we're not aligned with what our inner being is focused on. So it is actually quite a simple process. It doesn't have to be a hard, big thing. We can choose for it to actually be a lot more ease and flow than what we've probably been conditioned to think.
Yes.
I think Jennifer mentioned not enoughness earlier. The conditioning is so strong, and especially for women, that we're not enough, when the truth is we are enough. And it's time for us to really get that and really do the magic we're here to do. And life is short. I love that you say you don't care what people say about you, Julie. You don't care what they think. That's so important, because that is so the thing that gets in the way for so many of us. And really, when we die, no one's going to care anyway. So why should we care what they think about us while we're alive? So I say go for it, create the most amazing life. And as you said, Julie, embrace support. There's so many amazing wisdom teachers here in this community that are here to support and co-create and really create amazing lives together in a beautiful community.
Absolutely, and thank you. I love that. And we are the magic. The magic is within us, and it's about activating that. And perhaps for some of the younger ones that are thinking, I remember when I was young, people used to say, you'll know what it's all about when you find yourself and you love yourself. And I'm a teenager thinking, what the fuck? What does that mean? What is that? I don't. And then I thought, there must be something wrong with me because I have no idea what they're talking about. Of course I do now, and it's life-changing. It's like, what do we get? We get self-empowerment. We know we're enough. We are worthy. We know we're worthy of everything that we desire, that is for our highest good and the good of all. I'm going to tap into the masculine here, because I know I get a bit ranty about patriarchy, and I mentioned it a couple of times. One thing that I have noticed, that a lot of men do feel a bit misplaced because women are rising. And I want to, acknowledge that. And all I could say is, really, it's exactly what we've been speaking here. We're speaking to all, and it's tap into yourself. Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? All of those things that we say to ourselves as women, it is the same for men. And what we want to do is bring balance. We don't want to get rid of patriarchy. We want to bring more matriarchy in, so that we create this beautiful balance and harmony with both the masculine and feminine, which we all have residing within ourselves. So it's something about balancing within ourselves, which I've been very conscious of for a long time. And Deb said something, and I'm just going to say, embrace Lilith. We all have Venus and Lilith in our astrology charts. Jay's going to laugh at me because we had a conversation about this last night. So if you Google Lilith, the goddess Lilith, you will see that she was named the demon woman, the blood-sucking vampire. She was evil. She was from the underworld. And I'm here to tell you that that is absolute BS. What she was in past times was the woman that wasn't afraid to speak in her truth. So she is our sexual power, our dark side. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about embracing it within you at the core of your being, because she is the one that rises up in her truth unapologetically. So you can dance with Venus in the light and dance with Lilith. And when you merge these two, we have this most divine balance of archetypal energies. On that, I shall finish. I wanted to just check in with Jalea. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Is there anything you would love to share with us? Lovely, you can just unmute or you can type it here and I can share it. In the meantime, I'm going to ask everybody, because the last 5 minutes we can just spend giving one connection place. And I'd like to just talk about the Sacred You community. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. In 4 minutes, in less than in a minute, do you have one thing that you could offer to everybody, as in a tip or a piece of advice? I know we've covered a lot of it, but there may have been something else that came up. Jennifer?
Yeah, you know what would be maybe some real helpful, useful tool is a soul care guide, finding solace in everyday life, because I find that's very healing to the spirit. And you can find that on my website at lightingthepath.ca. If you scroll all the way down on the right corner, I think that's where you can pick yours up. So I'd like to offer that. And thank you so much for all of this. It's been so juicy tonight.
It is. I love juicy topics. Alison?
Oh, yes, this only takes like about 20 seconds, okay? So I want everyone to check their range of motion in your neck. Just check left and right, see how far you can go comfortably. Notice where any tension is. And I'm going to take my headphones off, but what we're going to do is we're going to massage our ears really well. The whole ear, pull them away. Okay, you want your ears to go red and warm. So after about 20, 30 seconds, recheck your range of motion. Just look left and right. Most people notice that it's a lot looser. So for those of us who spend a lot of time sitting, driving at the computer, especially with headphones on, okay, that interferes with the energies. Do this a couple times a day even. So there you go.
I love that. And it came to a tip that I would love to share. My ears feel all warm and tingly. And I love that, Alice. That's awesome. My tip is to touch yourself. And you can take that however you want. But it's loving ourselves up. And it's really like, yeah, hug yourself. In the shower, I have this, I'll give you this little ritual. I used to do it when I lived on a 40-acre property outside in the garden. I would stand naked in a big tub, like a foot bath, and I would have my essential oils in it, and I would have a cloth, and I would wash myself slowly all over my body. And it was the most divine ritual. So touch yourself and get really comfortable with touching yourself. And yeah, so Deb.
Okay, so I would like to share one of my favorite coaching questions, which is if whatever situation you're in that you're confused about or not sure what to do or kind of trying to make a decision, wherever you're at, to ask yourself, what would you advise if this situation was happening to someone you love, whether you're a parent, so your child, or a best friend? So think of someone you love, that you really love, and they were in your exact situation. What would you advise to them? Because that is always going to be the best advice. We always give the people we love the most amazing advice. So do that. That's the thing to do.
I love it. Take your own advice and just do it. So get a Nike on. I love it. Jo.
Oh, I love that too. It's so true, so true. And thank you, everyone. I loved what Alison shared as well. My neck actually creaked. It was amazing. But I would love to say, yeah, I think, you know, just remember who you are, but also just choose one thing every day that makes you feel good, and do that one thing, you know, with it before anything else. Like, don't let anything get in the way, and do that one thing. And I also have a self-care workbook that I created that I shared in the Sacred You this morning that would be very useful for you to have on hand. It's a bit of a writing process, so because I'm a big journaler and I love journaling what's coming up, but also acknowledging every day what's coming up and allowing that, you know, because through our emotions we can really tap into what we need to see, feel and heal. And it's a really beautiful way. Everything is there to show us something. So yeah, I'd love to offer that. And
Beautiful.
yeah.
I love that. Thank you. And the other thing you said, when you said do something every day, I've always had this saying, smile, because smiles are magical. And something that I do when I'm out is I always try to smile at people. And sometimes I find myself on a train gazing at people because I'm willing them to look at me so I can smile at them, because when you get that smile back too, like they feel like they've received and we receive back, because not enough people look at each other anymore. So thank you. That is so beautiful. Just quickly, where's the best place to connect with you? Just one thing, because I need to talk about Sacred You. Deb, where can people connect?
Coachtrainingcampus.com is where you'll find links to reach out to me. I look forward to connecting with everyone.
Thank you, Joanne.
You'll find me hanging in the Sacred You community. Come and join my tribe, empower you to live your best life. And my business name, if you look at my website, is Weight Free Mind.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Alison.
We'll go with passage-to-power.com.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Jennifer.
Lightingthepath.ca.
Oh, nice, easy ones too to remember. So you can, if you want to connect with me through my website, it's julienelson.com.au. And when you subscribe, I give you a PDF of 30 odd essential oils and their psychological, emotional, and energetic properties to tap into. And also, yeah, come and join my bewitching tribe. Come and join Joanne's tribe. Alison, do you have a tribe yet? No. Jennifer, tribe?
You'll find me on the blogs, and I'm on the Sacred Council as well.
Ooh, the Sacred Council. That sounds very magical. So that's beautiful. So Sacred You. All right. We have this offer for you where you can join the Sacred You community for $1. And that gives you 2 weeks of being able to explore and experience the tribes. And you can do as many as you like in that 2 weeks. And of course, you must come and join mine and Joe's. That is a must. And then after that 2 weeks, you have the opportunity to stay in the Sacred You community for only $20 a month. And I'm telling you now, you'll get conversations like this in the tribes and lots of healing. And I don't know of another place where you have access to so many freaking amazing women and men that offer their services like this to you for your growth and connecting more deeply with your sacred self. So thank you, everybody. It has been so much fun. I love doing these. I could do this all day and all week because I love to talk, as you may have noticed. So some of the ladies have put their things, their details into the comments here if you want to grab them before we close off. The other thing is all of these links will be in the thread of this live or video. Connect in with us, come and be a part of our beautiful Sacred You community. Check out Jennifer's blogs, check out Deb, check out us all, because we're all fucking amazing people. Okay, that's it for now.
Thank you, Julie. You did an amazing job. We love you.
I love you too.